Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Melissa Walker in Lagos. We begin with the latest Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and it is now official that Germany will be sending Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. Germany's announcement comes after a diplomatic logjam with the United States, where German officials had openly stated that they would only send their Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine if the US sent the M1 Abrams tanks. The Chancellor says Germany will send 14 Leopard tanks and give permission for other countries to send theirs too. During the address, he urged Germans who were worried about the move to trust him, insisting the decision was the right one. It follows weeks of international pressure from Kyiv and its allies to approve the export of the German-made tanks. So as the German announcement comes, the US is also finalizing plans to send approximately 30 Abrams tanks to Ukraine. And that's according to two US officials familiar with the deliberations. But we understand that the US president will be briefing on the matter at 12 p.m. Eastern time. That will be 6 p.m. West African time. Now, with this backdrop, Chancellor Olaf Scholz told German parliament that Berlin's relations with the US were better than they had been for a long time. In the meantime, NATO leaders have reacted with thanks and support as Germany announced today that it would send its Leopard 2 main battle tanks to Ukraine. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said Germany had made the right decision, while Poland's Mateusz Morawiecki said the move was a big step towards stopping Russia. Latvia's Foreign Minister Edgars Rinkēvičs finished his post with Dankeschön, a play on Dankeschön, the German for thank you very much. Staying with the subject, pressure has been building for weeks now on German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's government to send the tanks and allow other NATO allies to do the same ahead of expected spring offensives by both sides that could help turn the tide of the war. Scholz's government had stalled on the decision, wary of moves that could prompt Russia to escalate or suck the NATO alliance into becoming party to the conflict. Germany's decision paves the way for other countries such as Poland, Spain and Norway to supply their stocks of Leopard tanks to Ukraine, and that has already begun. Spain is willing to provide Ukraine with its Leopard tanks, but in coordination with the allies. While for the Netherlands, who, despite not currently owning any German-made Leopard tanks, 2 tanks that is, they are prepared to purchase tanks it currently leases in order to send them to Ukraine. According to the German government, training of Ukrainian troops in Germany will begin soon, and Germany will also provide logistics and ammunition. Germany will issue the appropriate transfer permits to partner countries that want to quickly deliver Leopard 2 tanks from their stocks to Ukraine. Well, in response, the decision by the German government to approve deliveries of Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine is extremely dangerous and takes the conflict to a new level of confrontation. This, according to Russian ambassador to Germany, Sergei Nachev. In his statement, he says, "This extremely dangerous decision brings the conflict to a new level of confrontation and runs counter to German politicians' statements about FRAG's, Federal Republic of Germany's, reluctance to be involved in such. Unfortunately, this happens over and over again. Yet again, we can see that just like its closest partners, Germany is not interested in a diplomatic solution to the Ukrainian crisis." Ambassador Nechev then brought up World War II, claiming that Germany has forgotten the difficult path of post-war reconciliation between Russians and Germans. We head to Kyiv now, where VOA's Anna Chernikova is standing by for us with more. Hi, Anna. I mean, how is Kyiv reacting to this announcement today, the Leopard 2 tanks that will be delivered to Ukraine?
Good evening. Well, definitely, Ukraine is. It was a long-awaited decision, and Ukraine was waiting for this decision for quite a long time. Not only Ukrainian military, but society, because society also realizes that in order for military to be successful in the upcoming counteroffensive, which apparently, well, reportedly, are to be happening somewhere in spring and summer, military needs certain techniques and tanks particularly. So definitely very positive mood about this. And of course, Ukraine. Ukraine was living in this. Expectation for especially for this past couple of days when the decision was almost done. And so today is this final official announcement was made by Germany, and also everyone is expecting President Biden's speech, which is happening a little bit later today.
And Anna, we're hearing Russian embassy saying that Germany's decision sending tanks to Ukraine will escalate the conflict. Are there any worries about this?
Well, it's quite expected reaction from Russian Federation, and it doesn't really look that Ukraine has any concerns about that. So Ukrainian officials, Ukrainian military do not really, consider these official announcements made by Russia, because everyone kind of know what to expect and kind of understand that, of course, they're not going to be happy with this. But at the same time, it's not much that they can, do in terms of, accept of certain official position. So this would not change the decision, or would not change the supplies. So for Ukraine, Ukraine looks at it from its own perspective, and its own perspective is that this is needed in order to liberate Ukrainian territories and to end this war at one point.
And Anna, some experts are even saying that Russia will use this German tanks to strengthen the narrative. I mean, that NATO is waging a war. I mean, this is a narrative that it has talked about previously. But when we look at the Leopard 2 tanks, what countries do you see going ahead with sending? Are all countries in Europe? Are there any exceptions to sending tanks to Ukraine? Are all in support in Europe?
Well, for the moment, we can see that there is this new coalition coming together, this so-called tanks coalition, and definitely, I don't think that it will be like 100% of European countries sending tanks. Some countries don't have enough, or don't have at all, or don't have the decision, the political decision inside the country. But what we can see that main, biggest countries are already joining this coalition. For instance, Spain, for instance, Norway. We hear some positive also announcements by Finland, of course, Poland, and Germany, definitely. And I think that we are to hear some more announcements. Again, we understand here that the negotiations are taking place behind the closed doors, and definitely these countries will negotiate between themselves and will probably get out publicly with certain announcements of how many tanks they are sending, each of them are sending, and so on and so forth. But we definitely can see that France also was talking about this possibility of sending their tanks. So it looks like that as far as decision is made and Germany gave their permission to send Germany-made tanks, I think that we will hear sometime soon about more details about particular decisions by each country. But it looks that that this coalition would not be a small one, and of course we should consider Rammstein as also as a clue. So in Rammstein we have 50 countries. Here we will see how many countries will join. But again, everyone is waiting today for the speech by President Biden, and if U.S. would also join, and this is according to some unofficial information that we cannot for the moment verify independently, but according to this information, that it might be that U.S. would also announce sending of tanks, and of course this would also change, and this would influence the decisions of other European countries.
Indeed, we are expecting, that announcement very soon. But, with all of this happening in the diplomatic circles, give us an update on where the fighting is happening.
Yeah, today Ukrainian General Staff confirmed that Ukrainian forces left the city of Soledar completely. And I should say that the main fighting for the moment is concentrated in the area of Bakhmut, it's Donetsk region, and the city of Soledar was one of the cities next to Bakhmut, which was under very fierce fighting for the past months. And Ukrainian forces left the city in order to take other more convenient positions for further defense and liberation of certain areas. Of course, we don't know all the operational details, but definitely the city of Soledar strategically was apparently like the main aim was to save some time for Ukrainian forces to regroup. And for the moment, the battle for the city of Bakhmut is the one which is the main in this area, because Russian forces have certain goal to retake the control of the Donetsk region, and the city of Bakhmut would be required for this. So Ukrainian forces continue to defend the city, to defend that area, and also we definitely the fightings continue in the south part of the country. We don't hear a lot information, official information from there, but there are definitely battles going on. Ukrainian General Staff do not announce anything yet, but we are hearing from the military that there are also certain operations which are upcoming. And definitely what was confirmed by the head of Ukrainian intelligence, both sides, both Russia and Ukraine, are preparing for the counter-offensive and advance operations soon, couple of months into the year. So we're talking about spring and summer. And definitely the preparations are taking the big part of the military operations right now.
Viewers, Anna Chenikova, we always appreciate your time. Thanks for that update, and do stay safe.
Thank you.
We continue with Finland's Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto and Latvia's Foreign Minister Edgars Rinkēvičs, who have met in Riga to talk about the NATO admission process and military aid to Ukraine. The two ministers discussed the way forward with Turkey as Finland awaits ratification of their NATO admission by Hungary and Turkey. Hungary has promised to proceed with ratification in February, but Turkey has not yet announced a timetable after it cancelled indefinitely a trilateral mechanism meeting with Sweden and Finland scheduled for February following a weekend protest in Stockholm which drew condemnation from Ankara.
Well, how do we see the way forward with Turkey? We are, of course, in the hands of those two countries that have not yet ratified. We know that NATO is a club that all the members have to ratify, new members. Hungary has promised us that they will proceed in the parliament in February, probably late February. And with Turkey, we don't have currently a timetable. Due to this incident in Stockholm, Turkey has announced that they will freeze the tripartite cooperation, the process that we agreed in Madrid last summer. And of course, this tripartite cooperation has been very important because there we can take stock of those steps that Finland and Sweden has been taking, for example, to fighting the terrorism and making actions against the PKK, which is also a terrorist organization in Finland and Sweden and in the whole European Union area. We feel actually in Finland and in Sweden that we have fulfilled those issues that were agreed in this tripartite agreement last summer in Madrid, and of course expecting that Turkey would then make the next move. That Turkey has election spring. This spring might be part of the delay. Their elections are now decided to be in mid-May, and then of course we see a short time slot after the elections and before the Vilnius summit, where we hope that the process of ratification would go on. Sweden historically is our closest partner, and already now, when we are not yet members of NATO, we have had a very close military cooperation with Sweden. And for example, on Friday in Ramstein, we signed an additional memorandum of intent even for intensified military cooperation with Sweden in certain circumstances. And that, of course, leads us to the situation that when we look our region and any military threats to our region, we will face those challenges together with Sweden. And that's the reason why we need to be part of the same military alliance. And when you look the wider region, the whole Baltic Sea region, and if you think the Baltic Sea region without Sweden, something is missing on your defense seriously, not only regarding Finland, but also cooperation with the Baltic states is essential. And that's the reason why we applied together the membership with Sweden and why we are heading towards the NATO together.
In Lithuania, a giant disused electrical transformer built in 1980 was prepared for shipment to Ukraine from the port of Leopard on Tuesday. Worth around €2 million, it weighs nearly 200 tons and took 2 weeks to be stripped of removable parts and drained of oil for transport. It can supply power for the whole capital city of Vilnius. Head of Lithuania's power grid said his company was searching warehouses for anything else Ukraine might need to repair the damage done to its electricity system by repeated Russian missile attacks.
Ukraine is still on Soviet technology, the same as we are. There are not many places to take new equipment. So this auto transformer, 330 to 110, is a very big one, and those are in scarce supply. So these are critical elements of energy system, such as ours and such as Ukraine's. And this transformer, for example, alone can supply electricity for the whole city of Vilnius. So that's a significant piece of equipment. So technologically wise, it's a very valuable equipment because it can serve as a new one. And this auto transformer, big one, we're sending one now. And in the middle of this year, we'll dismantle another one and we'll send to Ukraine. But that one is still operating in Lithuania, waiting for a new one. So we'll dismantle and send to Ukraine. Apart of this, of course, we have sent smaller transformers, and those are going in hundreds. Smaller transformers, but big ones is the most valuable one.